going on, Jerome's? So, of course, you know that we love us some conspiracy theories. Now, I was going to wear the tinfoil hat, but one, it's hard to keep in frame, and number two, it gets really hot under lights. So, yeah, well, but I think I got a good one. I think I got me a good one, and also this one, like, it isn't really nefarious, and I still think that the Vikings found the future franchise quarterback in JJ McCarthy. I think that he's going to be fantastic, but there's just a little caveat here. And also, like, if I'm alien abducted, not saying, I'm just saying, right? So, like I said, obviously, I think that the Vikings got themselves a quarterback, man, in JJ McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell, smitten. He is indeed the smitten kitten. They're going to link up long time for the next 15 years. Bring 18 plus Jerome Bardys over the next 15 years. 10, except, well, after Darnold gets one. Could you imagine the chaos and anarchy if Sam Darnold takes the Vikings to a Super Bowl win? What do you do? Like, you got to re-sign him, right? But, yeah, so J.J. McCarthy, highest drafted quarterback in franchise history. But, of course, the news that he needed a full meniscus repair, likely out for the 2024 season. Well, should be. Put him on injured reserve now as opposed during the regular season after 53-man rosters are set. So the specter of him coming back, don't need that. But, of course, Vikings fans bumming. But there's been a couple of inconsistencies, right, going on with J.J. McCarthy and this whole meniscus injury. Number one, now, a meniscus isn't as obvious as like an ACL or a broken bone or anything like that, right? A meniscus, I've had a meniscus done because it hurts. You can tough it out. You can walk without a limp most of the time, but also sometimes if you catch it right, it's like lightning, just like shooting through your leg, right? So that would be kind of tough to hide. So a lot of people point out is like you can't find the singular play in the Raiders games. Like, when did he get hurt? Because we would like to know. And then, of course, we would just burn that in our memory banks and replay it 5,000 times, just like Blair Walsh and the Gary Anderson misses. But so, yeah, the question is, when did McCarthy tear his meniscus? Because, we rewatched the broadcast and even rewatched all 22. Like, there isn't a singular play where he gets up and has a hitch in his giddy up. So you're just like, huh. Also, you didn't see him on the side talking to the trainers, and also the beat writers are damn good at their job. They likely would have gotten some sort of intel from inside the building that something is amiss, or they could have potentially seen McCarthy with a giant bag of ice on his knee after his first preseason game, or whatever, right? But there's zero goose egg D'Angelo Russell leaks about this until Monday. So the working theory that we have is that JJ actually tore his meniscus at Michigan. Now, it could have been the initial damage, and maybe he exasperated things on Saturday, or... All right, so we'll get into the conspiracy theory part. So, JJ at Michigan... I really hate how much time we spent on this, but we pinpointed it. So, November 11th, 2023, Michigan on their way to an undefeated season, national championship. Michigan at Penn State, Happy Valley, 9:42 left in the fourth quarter, 2nd and 17 from the 50. JJ scrambles for about a 7-8 yard gain, right? And gets up limping noticeably. And Gus even mentions that McCarthy got up limping, right? And I think this is when it happened. I think this is when he initially injured his right knee, his meniscus, and just looking at his splits. So eyeball test wise, just watching back, some of his games, the Ohio State game, Iowa, Alabama, Washington, right? There's a difference between McCarthy's movement then and the beginning of the season, and especially in 2022, like the TCU game, etc. So in 2023, there's a stark difference in the splits. So through the Penn State game, first 10, and then after Penn State, the last 5, his yards per carry went down precipitously from 3.6 to 1.6. I don't like that they include sack yardage in quarterback rushing totals, but I have several thousand issues with college football, but and then also like his pressures went up, and also his sacks per game went up. Now, part of that is a function of playing better teams later in the season, conference style. Well, not Iowa, but yeah, part of that is that. But also, like we said, eyeball tests, like he just wasn't moving the same way that he was earlier, and McCarthy. I mean, this flew under the radar nationally, but it was being talked about in Michigan media circles. Like, this is from M Live. Like, what's up with JJ McCarthy, making sense of Michigan quarterbacks' recent struggles. And then there was also a play where McCarthy came up limping after a run. That was the game at Penn State that we pointed out. The limp and ankle injury was noticeable in Saturday's win at Maryland, where McCarthy blah 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 blah. Then McCarthy even talked about it. Last week was a little rough, McCarthy admitted on Monday, but I'm doing fantastic now. Treatment's been great, and yeah, we'll be ready to go. Now, obviously, this sort of flew under the radar because he's a tough-ass kid, as well as there's no formal injury reports in college football. Plus, even at the Rose Bowl Media Day, Michigan's quarterback coach Kirk Campbell, he said this. I think I mentioned this in media conference one time, but your knee is hurt and you're not going to be able to go through the throw. You're going to have to find different ways to throw a platform, blah, 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 blah. Coach did a great job of helping him physically and all that about how to combat injury stuff. And none of this entered the draft conversation. Like, I scoured a bunch of draft profiles and the knee wasn't even mentioned as like a major issue. Like it was mentioned in passing, like, yeah, he dinged up his knee against Penn State, but it wasn't listed as a weakness or a detriment or something to keep an eye on, because JJ McCarthy is a tough ass dude. All right. And also the entire time, like, Michigan was on that national title run, as well as the whole Connor Stallions thing was blowing up. So who's really paying attention to M Live? We talk about JJ McCarthy's knee, especially when he's out there still dropping dimes, as well as handing off to Blake Corum. Also, could that have been a reason why Michigan ran the ball even more later on in the season and through the college football playoff, because they knew that McCarthy was dinged up? It's a possibility, man. But the conspiracy theory. So McCarthy's meniscus injury goes back to Michigan. Again, this is all theory, and also there's like zero maliciousness on it. And also may have needed surgery at some point before his NFL career started in earnest. So he wasn't going to be a starter until he got the surgery done, and likely a full repair, so a full suture and the longer timeline recovery. But he, like we said, he was able to tough out the college football playoff, the draft, and camp. And you think that in the draft process, like, if he would have showed up to the combine or pro days limping, that would have been noticeable, except it wasn't. And also, like, he got through the entire training camp with all the fans watching him without a noticeable limp. So again, that's a testament to how tough he is. Plus, JJ McCarthy, of course, his toughness, being a hockey kid. Also, menisci are also the number one injury for hockey players outside of MCLs. Apparently MCL is a big deal. ACL, not so much in hockey, but MCL is pretty common. I guess probably, well, I don't even want to theorize, but yeah, there's a direct correlation there with hockey movements. But like we said, but also, I mean, team probably would have known this. And would they have known about the extent of the meniscus absent a full-on MRI? Probably not, but is it something that they would have been generally aware of? And also, was that baked into the cake in JJ dropping down to 10 and being the fifth quarterback taken? Could that have been? Like, could teams have known because they watched the Penn State game, they watched how his movement skills were limited after that? I don't know, but also, McCarthy being tough enough where it's like, hey, you literally won the national title and got through the college football playoff and also beat Iowa. But the team wanted JJ to have the full camp experience before he got the surgery, and also highlight him in the preseason to appease the fans because he looks so damn good against the Raiders, man. And maybe the plan was, hey, we're going to trot him out against Monday night practice as well, just to really show up the fans. But he did so damn good on Saturday. They're like, that's enough. Stop the count. We got what we need. We're good to go there. And then also, like, the redshirt shutdown surgery was always the plan. Like, maybe that was it. Where, again, now we're getting into the weeds. Like, maybe it was always known that JJ McCarthy needed that meniscus, but also, McCarthy, like we said, he was able to tough things out through the college football playoff. But if he got the meniscus right after the season, that would have potentially kaputted his draft stock. Maybe he would have fell out of the first round. So he just gutted it out through the combine, blah, 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 and got the full benefit of basically a full training camp here, as well as showing up for the fans. And then he got the surgery that was needed all along. And then also the bonus is that Slinging Sam Darnold doesn't have to worry about JJ McCarthy behind him the entire time this season, and fans are just calling for him. Or probably what's more likely, because even though like I love me a conspiracy, probably what's more likely is McCarthy. McCarthy obviously did something to himself at college, right? And maybe his play on Saturday against the Raiders, first game action since winning a national title back in January, like maybe that exasperated things, and then maybe that precipitated the surgery. It's also possible. But either way, like I said, I don't think there's any maliciousness or nefariousness behind any of this. But and also, I firmly believe that JJ McCarthy is going to be the future franchise of the Vikings. But there's a couple of things that are just lining up too good. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, and of course, that's where we live. That's right, baby. But your thoughts are thoughts. Conspiracy theory. When did JJ McCarthy tear his meniscus? Question mark. Let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.